Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we have a fun, exciting episode for you today. We've been talking about today's topic on a number of episodes here over the previous week on VCTV, and we wanted to bring it all together today, and that is to talk about impact and impact investing, and more so about sustainability as it crosses over in a lot of different areas that our experts are going to be speaking about today. And we just had a panel around supply chains and manufacturing along with logistics, and the topic of impact came up there, and so we're going to be continuing that conversation here. But as always, we've brought the best and the brightest from around the world to share their thoughts and insights around these areas with you, our audience. And a big thank you for tuning in. If you're liking what you hear today, make sure you click that subscribe button. We've got episodes every day, all day here on VCTV, and great content and even more coming for you here in the coming weeks. Also, if you'd like to be on a show like today as an investor, joining our outstanding panel of investors, do reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right set of investors and topic, industry, or region for you to speak about as well. And entrepreneurs, you've got less than 45 days left in this year of 2020. Reach out, and we'd love to have you here on the virtual stage at VCTV to pitch us as investors to get real-time feedback on your company, product, and service, along with building foundational relationships with us, investing and building within your industry and our entire live audience as well, as you never know who may be in it, and you may even get a chance to speak in a panel with them, calling out one of our guests today, as I was pointing to them in our Family Feud style screen here as well, and excited to welcome him back in just a moment. And also a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and get started. Jose, a man of a million hats. Welcome back to the show. For those who don't know, Jose loves hats. He's got an outstanding collection he shared with us a few days ago. You definitely tuned into that previous episode as we were talking about Industrial 4.0. And also that's going to play a big role in today's discussion as well. So Jose, all jokes aside, love the hat today. It looks great. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
So I'm Jose Grasa. I have been a serial entrepreneur now for 40 years, essentially building brands in different verticals, including in consumer products and chemicals and aviation. And the last 20 years, essentially in the software industry. In 1994, I became a business angel after my first exit, and it's quite a long time ago. And eventually, I was leader of a business angels club, NABC, for some years. The fact is that, and I say this over and over again, for me, it's much more exciting to be an entrepreneur than being an investor. They're completely different mindsets, although I enjoy also being an investor. And Kyle, thank you so much for being on your show. I really love it always, and fantastic panel that we have today. I was let's say, very happy to meet most of the panel members before. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And they're all good cats. We're going to hear from each of them today. So thank you, Jose. You're a part of that crowd as well. Keith, it's a pleasure as always. And you've got a very specific thing we want to talk about today, again, following our last episode around supply chains and logistics, which we're going to come back to. But before we do, a little intro and a little background for everybody.
Sure. Thanks very much, Kyle. My career started as an entrepreneur, but I spent the last 20 years in VC, mostly on clean tech, which has a huge impact. First with Mitsubishi Corporation and then with BASF, 10 years of Pangea Ventures, raising funds 3 and 4. And now this year I have split off and formed a new group called Upper Stage Ventures, sort of a hybrid PE VC model. We are focused on supply chain opportunities, and we are acquiring companies that are affecting great change that can roll out through international supply chains. I also am the chairman of the Foresight Clean Tech Accelerator Center, so I continue to have a lot of impact in the clean tech space.
Wonderful. Elpish, welcome back to the show as well. It's always a pleasure. A little intro, a little background.
Hello, hi, hello everybody. My name's Alpesh Doshi. I'm a technology entrepreneur, and like the impact space, because I think, after 10 years of people talking about sustainability. Everybody's woken up, including financial markets. I like to build businesses around the application of data and AI into different sectors, and one of the sectors is around sustainability.
Wonderful. Solomon, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. A little intro, a little background. You're on mute, so would love to hear from you.
So I'm a second-time panelist now, a long-time watcher, second-time panelist as of an hour ago. As I was mentioning to Kyle, that I started being an entrepreneur way back in 20th century. I would not date myself beyond that because Kyle kind of is going to catch on to that. And I've done various ventures, and like Jose was saying, I really love being an entrepreneur because I really like solving problems. Unfortunately, just from a timing perspective, it just makes more sense for me to advise others be successful. So I can kind of spread the impact a lot. And the way kind of I am looking at impact these days is more in terms of helping women and colored entrepreneurs, BIPOC entrepreneurs, Black, Indigenous people of color in the United States to have access to the same kind of resources as everybody else. I was very fortunate to have most of my entrepreneur career in Silicon Valley, where race was at least not a barrier, or ethnicity or religion wasn't a barrier. But in North Carolina, things are very different. Also for women, things are still harder than it is for men, as you can perhaps see for just looking around the panel right now. So my kind of impact these days is focused on that. So I just started a new organization that is public benefit. It's not really strictly for profit, in the sense that our objective is not to maximize profit, but to maximize impact while being able to sustain ourselves through that. And that is focused on helping women and BIPOC entrepreneurs be successful.
Wonderful. And last but not least, Gary Fowler, it's a pleasure as always. Heartwarming to see you on every episode of VCTV, but nonetheless, a little intro, a little background.
Well, you know, Kyle, I want to thank you very much. You know, you are the most revered, the most knowledgeable, the most worthy big kahuna of tech. I'm great. It's great to be here. If we were in Hawaii, you'd be getting a lei around your neck and people would be bowing to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Gary Fowler. I'm an investor and serial entrepreneur. Thanks, Alpish. And investor and serial entrepreneur. I love artificial intelligence. I love transportable AI models. I just wrote an article on quantum computing and blockchain yesterday. I'm exploring that area. I'm very interested in quantum and cybersecurity. We have a venture studio. We've got 18 portfolio companies. We are a premier venture studio. We help companies go global. We're looking for incredible, resilient teams that want to make a little dent in the universe. And I've been involved with two unicorns. Click Software, I was on the original management team of, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion. And also Eva, which is a company I founded 4 years ago. So I love this stuff. You know, I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania. It's great to be with some of my friends here, Keith and Alpesh and Salman now, and of course you, Kyle, the man of 1,000 faces. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much again for joining and spending time with us today here on VCTV. And just jumping right into today's topic, each and every one of you have played a role either investing or building around impact and sustainability, and would love to hear your views and your thoughts as to where things are today and why this is so important more than ever to be looking at, in a space to be paying attention to. And Jose, let's start with you. I know yesterday you talked a little bit about business inclusion and financial inclusion, but would love to hear more as to what your current view around impact and sustainability means in your world.
Well, we in fact invest in that area, especially what we call business inclusion, because we feel that business inclusion in fact has two components, and you touched it right away, which is one part is the fintech, and the other part is the that people need to get into the business environment. So if you combine the two together, you get something which we call fintech impact. It's like a combination. There are not many people in this area. I think it's just starting. We were one of the first to look at this problem. And it's a real global problem, and it affects every 2 individuals in every 10 people on the globe. It's quite massive, and there is no country in the world that is exempted from this issue. So we are looking constantly to aggregate solutions into the environment that we have, or either we develop it ourselves or we embed it. I just got a merge offer today. So we will be going to looking into that offer that we received. We don't know for now if we're going to do it, but I think it's something that is really coming into the society, because it's something that is going on, for 100 years. So it's not something which is, let's say, old. Now, I have one thing that I read today that I want to share with the panel members and the audience, which I think is very important, and especially Gary, because it's more in his area. So what we do, right, also has to do with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and blockchain, and also with digital currencies. But I just read an article that in the UK, the British government just made an announcement that artificial intelligence, they are going to block takeovers in the area from British companies related not only to artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence is one of the topics, because they feel it is a very important strategic area besides defense and a bunch of other things. And I strongly feel that what we have been saying on the shows and constantly having been addressing is that we are now basically on the edge of a real change, right? We are just waiting for the computer power, more or less. Now, if quantum computing more or less was already available to the masses, this would be, I would say, like, you cannot even imagine what the changes would be. I myself, I cannot even imagine all those changes that could be possible. So I think all this probably is going to take a very big change, and we will be taking part into that in the next 5 years, maybe 10, but now it's getting real mature. And this will have also a huge impact on everything, like robotics, like social environment, and especially reconverting a lot of people that are getting unemployed, more or less. And also those that are employed but need to be reconverted to, let's say, more recent jobs. So there will be a massive shift again. What happens in the past from agriculture into in the Industrial Revolution, and later on into digital. And now we will see, that a lot of people are going to move, let's say, to more intelligent areas of the whole setup. That's what I'm looking for. And yeah, we invest into this every day. Okay, we research, and we have a team that is dedicated to this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jose. And Gary, I want to come to you to follow on from that, as Jose called you out around automation and where things are going. Continuing that part of the conversation, but even more so, your view on impact as it stands today.
Well, I mean, the situation is so for the last 13 years, we've been focused on the Black community. One of the board members of the NAACP is on the board of GSD. My thing is, it's pretty simple. And if you have great AI companies and you bring in, people of different races, different beliefs into the company, you can really create a village, a great village to accomplish something. It's amazing. So we believe in multicultural, intergenerational, and regionally diverse, decentralized teams. And particularly with the Black community, why aren't there more Black CEOs of companies, of tech companies? It's kind of odd. Why aren't there more women CEOs? So we actually put our money where our mouth is. We're creating a $100 million fund around it. So on that side of it, we have that type of social impact. The other part is we're looking around the world for really cool, interesting AI companies working in areas of sustainability, helping with the challenges with cleanups, anything around AI, water, issues. Our planet, our population has quadrupled in the last 100 years. The land is decreasing. We got to make our systems much more efficient. We've got a lot of problems with chemical issues. We've got a lot of problems with sulfur in the air, a lot of challenges, but they can be solved. We're looking at AI. It's too bad that these countries are really locking up on artificial intelligence, because it's going to keep, it's like the internet, right? It's gonna be there, and people need it in order to be able to deal with the massive amount of data that's around them every day. So it's really, sorry about that. I got a big construction project going in my place. My guys are putting my new kitchen in right now. So if you hear noises, it's that. Anyhow, it's the opportunity in terms of sustainability. It's not like we have a choice anymore, right? And impact. I mean, think about the climate change. The issue with, since 1957, here just in Florida, the water has in some places gone up 8 inches on the beaches, 8, right? And you look at by the year, what is it, 2099, it's forecasted that the water table in Florida will go up by 26 inches, 26 inches, right? That's a lot. I mean, if you look at it, 29, the entire Florida is about 26 inches above sea level. So it's 3 inches above sea level for the average of the state. So we've got some serious challenges. And then you look at, I did a project, a startup. I was involved in a startup that dealt with long-range weather forecasting by a guy by the name of Irving Crick, who was one of the weather forecasters for World War II. Guy was about 80 years old when I met him, but it was fascinating. He was telling me about climate change. He was telling me about super hurricanes, et cetera. I mean, we're going to have hurricanes with 200, 250 mile an hour winds soon, right? And as the water warms up, the fish, the cycle, the feeding cycle changes. So the food supply from the oceans are going to dramatically change. There are going to be shifts where Russia becomes a breadbasket for food, and so is Canada. It's going to move north. It's really, we need to understand these are things that are always in the work. If we do something today, it's 30 years, 35 years, and I'm sure Keith can drill down in a granular detail. But then we have incredible technologies like IoT. So if we have non-potable water, why is it in houses? And I know, Kyle, we talked about that. And talk about impact. Why isn't, like, keep it simple, we don't have sensors around, like in a house. If I know that my water's got giardiasis, I only know if I try to sell it or I get sick. So, I mean, radon. So there's a lot that we can do. The good news is the future's right in front of us and the opportunities in front of us. So in terms of sustainability, we're all bought in, but I'm looking for companies that are using that artificial intelligence to have an edge. You hear my kitchen?
That we do. We do.
So,
we do.
Yeah. So anyhow, we're looking at, one is the impact in terms of how we can make the world a better place in terms of society. The other side is what kind of technologies can really help us out for sustainability and taking care of the environment. So if if anybody's out there with really cool ideas, let me know.
I love it. And Keith, I do want to come to you on that. And then Elfish, I want to hit you around data here in a minute. But Keith, furthering Carrie's point, talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing around impact and sustainability, as we know you focus on supply chains and also just the entire value chain network. But what are you seeing in this area, and what's really opportunistic?
Sure. Well, within the ESG of impact, I really believe the easiest place to make money is on the E side of things. If you can impact the environment, if you can clean up things, this has economic value that can be realized right away. And so that's why I have concentrated so much of my career in the clean tech space, and have done well in there. I've said before in other impact panels that impact should be measurable. It should not just be that warm feeling you get from doing something good, although that's great and I love it. Ultimately, we have to measure our impact if we want to be able to quantify its economic value. And that can only really be measured if it's commercial. because having something in the lab that looks good and then plugging it into your Excel spreadsheet and multiplied by this and multiplied by that, multiplied by the other thing, and oh my gosh, that's a big number. It's a big number, but it's not a big impact. We like to model things based upon what is the actual impact that we know in terms of carbon mitigation, in terms of fresh water mitigation, in terms of food that is produced, or whatever the metric is, according to sales of each unit or service that the company, any given company, provides. And then it does become a simple multiplication unit, because this selling this much generates this much impact, and we sold 6 million of those, and so we can actually quantify our impact on the environment out there. But it has to be commercial, or else it's just theoretical, and that's great. Everything starts out that way, fantastic. But I wouldn't claim impact until it was actually out there in the world doing good.
And with that, Elpish, I want to come to you. I mean, furthering Keith's point, but also talking a little bit about some of your work, whether it's around data or expanded in the area of impact.
Well, so I mean, I absolutely 100% agree with Keith. You know, that's where the gap is. The gap is collecting the data for measurement. But I'd like to add a little bit more. I mean, Keith did mention about ESG. You know, one of the biggest challenges I've seen around sustainability is the fact that you need a financial impact. You need a regulatory impact. Those things have to happen. So there's no business case and no incentive, even if yes, there are drivers for people to be more sustainable. But the reality is, if it doesn't stack up in terms of numbers from a financial perspective, people won't do it. Now, what's happened is there was a conference this week called the Green Horizon Summit, which everybody should go and watch. I don't know if you watched it, Keith. You should go and watch it. Green Horizon Summit. And it had some of the leading people in Europe, actually, mainly Europe, on the call. So, Christine Lagarde, who's the head of the central bank, European Central Bank. Mark Carney was the head of the Bank of England. They're all talking about measurement around ESG. They're all talking about data and how can you build the measurement and data to help the financial markets actually build financial products for ESG. So large asset managers like BlackRock have absolutely committed to ESG, and they need the data. Now they're going out and saying to the companies they invest in, we want the data so that we can measure what you're doing. So, but the problem is, it's not just, in quotes, raw data. There's a bunch of AI analysis that needs to happen to interpret that data to be able to figure out what the impact is, right? And so for me, the data is the sort of foundation fuel that you need, but you then need to implement a bunch of intelligent calculations to then feed it into the ESG pipeline, if you like, with the asset managers, the investment banks, and they're crying out for it because they want to create new products and services they can sell to their investors. So there's a nice little loop coming, and because if you then take the corporates at this end, take BP or anybody else, their valuation is now taking into account their sustainability strategy, and their valuation is sinking because of it. So now the fact that there is a lot of data, and the fact that people will have to measure it because it's affecting the valuation of their business, now is bringing together all the pieces together to make it work. And the problem is the data still isn't there, and that's what we're trying to do, is provide the ability to collect that data. And so for me, it's now starting to emerge. There's a large amount of investment going in. There's a large amount of incentives aligned to investment and investment returns. And I think that will drive the accelerated growth of sustainability, but also new types of products and services that investors want to invest in around ESG, which then helps to propagate making the world cleaner. It's great. So the virtuous circle is starting to establish itself. And I'm just going to see that's going to grow significantly in the next few years.
Absolutely. And with that, Solomon, I want to come to you around anything else to add on everyone's point, but also your view on impact and what it means to you and where you're looking at the areas of opportunity as well.
Definitely. This time I remember to unmute. So I kind of am taking almost an orthogonal view to most of the folks here. I am focusing more on the people. And in particular, there are a few experiences in my life mentoring some of the younger entrepreneurs. For example, I have a female entrepreneur who I'm her coach, and she is in sports tech. She went into a football team to try to sell her sports tech, and she was thrown out. She said, and the coach said, I don't talk to schoolgirls. So these are the kinds of things that I am looking to kind of make an impact, where to give access to people, particularly women and people of color in America. I think there is a lot of focus going on in the last 6 months here in US at least, with Black Lives Matter movement and so on. And I feel that the time is right for that. I do have some of my own money from my family office that I'm looking to invest as an angel investor to get things started. And then I have connections in VC through my own experience. I'm not raising a fund myself. I feel that I can only do so many things as one kind of person and one organization. So that's the whole purpose of building these solvers, is to actually help people level the playing field, and also for them to be able to bring their whole self to work. Again, I was pitching to one of the big 3 auto companies in one of my startups, and after the salesperson made their presentation and stuff, the Q&A started, and I fielded most of the questions. And I was walking out, the C-suite executive from a big 3 company says, you are pretty smart. I thought you were just an Indian programmer. And he obviously meant it as a compliment, but I did not quite take it as a compliment. I have also another situation where I have an Indian student at Duke who wanted to be in product management, and I have a white student at Duke who wanted to be a programmer, and they applied to the same company, and they continually got mixed up because they thought the white person was applying for product management and the Indian person was obviously the Indian programmer. So those are the kinds of stereotypes that I'm looking to kind of fight one at a time, and hopefully have kind of a network effect with the people that I coach and mentor and I grow, so that they can have companies where people can bring their whole selves to work. So it doesn't matter if you don't have any hair like Keith or you have a lot of hair like Kyle. You can still be yourself, and you don't have to worry about whether you need to grow hair or shave your head before you come to work.
I agree on the hair comment. I feel like I need to level down the playing field to Keith's level, but nonetheless, I totally understand the point, all jokes aside. And it's very unfortunate, the examples that you gave, because those are something that happen on a daily basis, probably more often than are talked about here on VCTV. But with that being said, I want to talk to you guys each about where the areas of opportunity are. Where should people be focusing? Where should people really be putting their time and effort around these areas, and capital as well? And if any advice you have for those looking to get into this space, because impact and sustainability is big. A lot of people toss it around as a buzzword or as a keyword that they want to include in something they're talking about, but there is a true impact, and there is really something that we need to be focused on here. So Jose, let's start with you. Areas of opportunity, where should people be focusing?
Well, as you know, Kyle, I love this business inclusion impact area. And I think, and I've been talking about it for some time now, and I think that most have not been waking up for the real impact. Let me put it like this. If we are able to solve business inclusion, right, this will impact more or less 16 to 18% of world population in one shot. Okay, so it has a huge impact. And if you're able to do that, the next step is that 15 to 18% of world population that's going to impact it by it positively, it will also have a result, an after effect, okay, on the rest of the population, because these are the men and women, okay, that supply us with all we need in our daily life, whatever it is, either it is water or agriculture or plastic stuff, you name it, or computers. They eventually become, in that whole chain, the after effect that impacts all the rest. So I strongly believe that humanity could benefit very strongly from this and have a big leap, okay, if we are able to solve this. Because the problem is like this: everybody only talks about the success cases, right? because that's what everybody likes to be and become and aims to. But what about those 99.5% of insuccess cases that happen every year, right? Nobody talks about that. So if we could, let's say, if even 5% would be solved, I would say even 1% would be solved, right? Of that we could go to 1.5% success, okay? That means that we will triple the success cases in the world, Now, that's quite an impact. Okay, we're talking about a huge amount of trillions of dollars. At the end, if you are going to see that in real numbers, financial numbers, really, it's a really big impact. And it also comes to a point which is the following. We have this problem that we have, let's say, diversity in the countries which are more poor, countries which are more wealthier, some are more developed, some are less developed, right? But one thing is sure, that all those countries that are more developed, okay, you have lower birth rate, right? Suddenly people change their whole objectives. They start looking at their lifespan that becomes much larger, okay? And because they have a larger lifespan, they want to have kids later, and they want to, enjoy the career. Now, we also forget that on this planet, 50% is woman, whatever you do, right? And 50%, of those success cases should be in women's hands. And I can tell you one thing: companies that have more women working in their companies, okay, they become much more sustainable and much more efficient, because women just have a different brain set. Everybody knows that, right? It's not only for taking care of kids. They also have a much more soft skills. Nature has developed them along 100,000 of years to have more soft skills than men. So I would like to stay with the business inclusion, because I feel that's where the opportunity is, because it touches all areas.
And real quick, Jose, we're coming up to time. So where can everyone find you online as well to continue the conversation?
So they can find me on LinkedIn on the Jose Grasa, or they can just search up GizMoney, because that's where we are investing today. Or they can just come here on VCTV and click on that button, and you're home as well.
I love it. Thank you, Keith.
I can put a different hat if you want.
Thank you, Jose. Keith, closing thoughts, and then again, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Great. Yeah, thanks very much. You can find me on LinkedIn, Keith Gillard, or on Twitter at Keith A. Gillard. My new firm is upperstage.ventures, very stealthy website. But if you've got something you want to propose to me, submit it through that website, or just get in touch on LinkedIn. I'm really focused on supply chain right now, because I believe there's an opportunity to make a huge measurable impact and to make a lot of money in the next few years, as we're seeing a kind of revolution, a great deal of change addressing urgent problems in the supply chain, especially in wake of things that have become exposed through COVID.
Wonderful. Thank you, Keith. Alpesh, to you, closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you to continue the conversation as well?
As usual, I'm on LinkedIn like everybody else, Alpesh Toshi. On Twitter, I'm at Alpesh Toshi. You can find me there. My closing thoughts, we all of us, I think all of us, apart from Salman, have participated in these things before. To be honest, I just see more and more opportunities in all sorts of areas around this. It's not just about data and tech. It's about all kinds of technology that reduce carbon footprint, whether it's soil, whether it's lighting, whether it's, waste. These are the kind of conversations I've had in the last 2 weeks. This is just some of the entrepreneurs building businesses. So it's not just about data, it's about physical products that people are creating, using, waste to create walls. That was another one that I saw. And it's amazing, right? There's massive amount of innovation going on. So I think it's really exciting. It's an area that if you're looking for ventures to go into, that world is wide open, and there's a huge amount of investment as well out there to be got to do it. So there you go.
Love it. Thank you. Solomon, where can everyone find you online, but also closing thoughts?
So you can find me, actually, let me first do a closing thoughts. Kyle, first of all, thank you for bringing us all together. And for everybody that is out there that is watching or listening to this, you may see different angles to what we are trying to address in terms of impact, but we really can work together because there are a number of, it's not like you can just have a company that is just sustainable or you just have company that is inclusive. We are all trying to attack different dimensions of this. So for this, we really need help from everybody else, whether you need help or whether you are willing to give help in any way. And this is not charity, by the way. We are going to make this beneficial for everybody, whether you're receiving help or giving help, whichever way they are. So I just wanted to kind of do the closing thought first. And then in order to find me, I'm on LinkedIn with my complete name, Salman Azhar. And you can also reach me at the Duke email address, salman.azhar@duke.edu, which is a little bit easier if you can spell my name, which is a feat in itself, by the way. So salman.azhar@duke.edu, or you can reach me on Gmail at dsazhar@gmail.com. D as a dog, S my first initial, azhar@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Solomon. And Gary, close us out. Closing thoughts, and then where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, no, this is, I mean, we've got the stars, we've got opportunities, but we got to take care of our planet first, and we've got to take care of each other. And so I think from my personal perspective, just going out and making a little bit, just one little thing you do for somebody, when we started 12 years ago, almost 13, in terms of working with the Black community, it had a profound impact on me. So I think that there's a great opportunity. Each one of us can make a little dent in the universe. We got to make our planet a little bit better, recycling and not wasting, make things that can be remade and stop wasted straws, those kind of things. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, LinkedIn. I have a show every week. Got incredible people like you, Kyle, on my show. And it'd be great to see you. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler, LinkedIn. You can reach me Twitter, COGSDVS, and reach out to me on my email, gary@gsdvs.com. I'm looking for incredible AI companies that want to go global and great partners to work with. So thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Jose, Alpesh, Salman, Keith as well. Thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts and insights and talking about such an incredible and very powerful area that people should be paying attention to around impact and also sustainability. Thank you, Jose. To you, our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thank you, Salman. Thank you, Gary. Do reach out if you'd like to be on the show like today, joining other investors, speaking about various topics, industries, or regions around the world. We'd love to find the right set for you. So do reach out to the team and or myself. Same with you, entrepreneurs. There's a virtual stage here for you to pitch us one-on-one. Get the chance to get real-time feedback from us as investors focused on your area, along with building foundational relationships with each of us and getting exposure to our live audience. Reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right set for you. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, thank you all investors for joining us again today. To our audience, make sure you reach out to each and every one of them. Make sure you do add context during that reach out so they know how to best continue the conversation with you and begin that initial follow-up and relationship as well. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me and our investors everywhere online, 24/7, 365. With that, we'll be back here more VCTV.